Plaintiff Michelle Merkel says when she first met the defendant didn't like her because she thought she was dumb. However, they eventually became good friends, and Michelle loaned the defendant money to prevent her from being evicted, but she has yet to be repaid. Defendant Megan Rasmussen says she always liked Michelle and never thought she would end up on her bad side. Megan insists she was going to repay Michelle, but her landlord took the money that was intended for Michelle.
Tell me what happened.
Me and Megan became friends through my ex-boyfriend during high school. At first, she didn't like me. You know, she thought that I was a dumb ditz and stuff, so.
Did you think that?
I did. I don't know, just because
Why?
the girls that her ex had previously dated were all the same, basically.
Okay, go ahead.
So I guess first judgments aren't very good. But anyways, so I called her on my birthday asking if she wanted to hang out. And she said that she couldn't because she, you know, was going through a hard time and stuff. Lent her $704.
To hang out?
Yeah, to hang out on my birthday.
You loaned her $700 to hang out.
No, not to hang out.
You gave her $700 not to hang out.
She called me and she said that she didn't want to hang out because she's going to be evicted the next day if she didn't have $704 by noon the next day.
All right, now you're making sense. All right.
So she said that her grandpa had a check.
And that's smart. You say, I can't hang out with you because I can't even pay my rent. And if you want to help out, if you want to buy me a drink, you can pay a portion of my rent instead. That's what she should have said. A lot of folks wouldn't have done that. Oh, yeah, I can hang out. Let's go. Don't have a penny in their pocket and asking you to buy drinks for them on your birthday.
On my birthday, yeah, I guess.
But she
I
had
wouldn't
nerve
want to
enough
pay for
to
drinks
ask
for
you
anybody else.
for money, $700 on your birthday.
It's a big drink.
Yep.
That's right. Let me hear from you, ma'am.
Well, initially when we met, Michelle and I were hanging out and she was, I guess, harassing her ex-boyfriend's current girlfriend. And she looked at me and she told me that she was conniving. Like, she told me right off the bat that she was. I mean, I didn't think anything of it. I loved the girl. I thought she was great. Never thought that I would ever end up on her bad side. But then, like she said, I had 24 hours to come up with rent or I would be evicted. And she had called when I was like, in tears. And I told her the situation and she said, you know, I'll help you out. Don't worry about it. I trust you. We're good friends, you know.
You didn't have a roommate?
I did. I had two roommates, but one of them left. So, and then one of them was my boyfriend at the time.
Did you work, both of you?
We had worked, but we had both gotten laid off. It was like a small factory.
Have you worked since?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, times are just really tough right now.
I know. That's why I was asking.
Now I live in a bigger city and it's easier for me to get a job,
Really?
actually. Yes.
And you have one?
I have one now, yes.
And how did you get it?
Well, a friend of mine knew someone that worked there, and
All right. How about your
me.
mate? Did he get a full-time job?
Yes.
When?
I'm not with him anymore, but
Just curious when.
well, when we moved to the city, he got one.
How?
Actually through my roommate. Was
Okay, so
working
it's all
somewhere.
personal networking
Yes.
that you all were able to get your
Yes.
jobs from. All right, so I'm just trying to inform some of these other folks out
Right.
here who unfortunately have been a victim of the financial collapse that began as a result of deregulation of the Wall Street markets and subprime lending, which set people up for failure. When they can't pay their house note, they get put out. They get put out and can't pay the mortgage company. The mortgage company goes into bankruptcy or has to get a bailout from the country to help them. And the small business can't borrow from the banks anymore, so the small business has to lay people off. Then people aren't buying products anymore, so that means the grocery store has to lay people off and the clothing store has to lay people off. And then the people who are no longer working in that area for the clothing store, they don't go to the barber shop around the corner, they don't go to the corner store around the corner, so the corner store and the barber shop has to lay people off, on and on and on and on and on. That's how we got in this shape. So I just wanted to educate them not only on how to get a job, but how we have gotten into this shape where everybody's losing their jobs, and it started up top and trickled down to the bottom. Now, how did she get in your debt
How did she get in my
for
debt?
$704 that you're suing her for?
I wouldn't have gave her the $704, but she told me that her grandpa wrote out a check and it was on the way up there. And then I even sat next to her when she
I
was...
know you didn't go for that.
Well,
But I sat
Did
next
she
to her while
actually
she was on
use
the
those
phone
words?
with her. I sat next to her while she was on the phone with her grandpa.
I know, but did she get
Yeah.
off and use those words? The check is on the way.
Yes.
it was on the way. My grandpa lives in Florida, so it took a while for it to get to Wisconsin.
Has it gotten here yet?
Yeah, but the problem
So
was...
did you pay her with it?
No, because my landlord took it. My landlord took that money, like, because it didn't come to my house. It went to my landlord, and I called him.
Okay, so you didn't need her money for the landlord if he already received his money directly.
Because we had paid the rent off before the money got there from my grandpa.
So the landlord should have given you.
And then he took it for the next month of rent, though, because...
You didn't have that month's either?
Well, no, I mean, he just took it.
Let's break it down. You sent him 2 months worth.
Yeah.
When you only needed 1 month.
Yes.
So when that second month came and you had the money yourself, what did you do with it?
I didn't have the money. Like, I didn't have it.
So you weren't going to have it the second month.
I was jobless. I was unemployed.
That's my point. You
first...
weren't going to have it the second month either.
Right. No,
How did you intend to continue paying rent?
I mean, I didn't know.
Okay, whenever you
I was
don't know
pretty
how
much
you're
out.
going to pay rent, you give the landlord notice that I have to
Right.
leave because I don't know how I'm going to pay you.
Right. I mean, I was 18. It was my very first apartment, and I will never make that mistake again.
All right,
ever.
good.
I've definitely
Good.
learned
Well,
from this.
you know, you see, you owe 704?
Yes, sir.
How long have you owed this?
I would say about 2 years.
All right. 2 years.
Yes.
You haven't paid her in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't had that in 2 years.
$1 a day.
Right. $1 a day would have done it. Right. Well, 50 cents a day. $704 for the plaintiff. Have a good day.